I'm Zane, and welcome to the GP Pittsburgh recap, where I'm going to go over how I did at the GP and how the deck performed and how I would change the deck if I were to do the GP over again. I just wanted to preface this by saying, of course, I can't, really do it over again without knowledge of the metagame, and knowledge of the metagame is very important when choosing a deck for a GP. I went into this GP predicting that there would be a big response to Mardu Vehicles, and that Mardu Vehicles would still be a good deck for the weekend, since the Pro Tour was such a Mardu Vehicles heavy format. So what I did was I said, let's play black-green, but let's play the black-green that is mid-rangey, so that the black-green after sideboard can transition to be Mardu Vehicles, but it can also transition to be both versions of black-green, both the black-green energy version, that is a little more aggro, and the black-green delirium mid-range version, which goes over the top of most other decks in the format. When configuring this deck and deciding on this deck, I kind of accepted that I couldn't really beat Four Colors Healy, and I really couldn't beat Control. And my results from the tournament do reflect that. But I did not face as many of those as the others. So I'm going to, guys can see the deck list here. I'm actually just going to go through each of my rounds and how those rounds went. So we're going to start with round 2, since I only had one round bye. So I had a round 1 bye. Round 2, I sit down, and it was the black-green mirror. My opponent was on a full delirium version of the deck with 4 Mind Rack Demons. I proceeded to lose game 1. We went to a board stall, and I had a little bit of a greedy attack. He did have his main deck Nissa Voice of Zendikar, so it is a very important card in the mirror. So he was able to get slightly bigger people. So I was trying to pressure his Nissa, and in so doing, I lost too much of my board, and then I was not able to win the first game. After sideboard, I brought in the Noxious Gearhulk, Obnixilus Reignited, and a few other cards, such as Fatal Push and Tireless Tracker. It was a very interesting game because neither of us played anything until turn 5 because we kept very reactive, removal-heavy hands. On turn 5, I played my Obnixilus Reignited and plussed. He did not have a Ruinous Path on the next few turns, but I was not able to actually clear the board and keep my Obnixilus around. I drew 5 straight lands, and I actually lost my Obnixilus Reignited. And after that, I was just too far down on the attrition battle, even after drawing all those extra resources. Cards like Obnixilus and Tireless Tracker are very important in the mirror because they provide both card advantage and removal / a threat. So I picked up my first loss in round 2, which is always a disappointing way to start the weekend. So I was a little bit down, and I said, you know what, we can pull this out. So round 3, I sit down and I face black-green energy. And now black-green energy is a much better matchup, since they have little guys like Siphoner and Cub. Having 3 main deck Fatal Pushes was insane. Also, siding in the 4th Fatal Push and another Kalitas was very, very good. So his first game, he kept the 2-lander, didn't draw past 2 lands. I removed his Rishkar. He eventually drew a 3rd land, or drew Servant and played a Rishkar. I removed multiple of his mana dudes. It constricted on him on mana, and then I won with a Mind Rack Demon. Then, game 2, I sided in my more removal, Fatal Push, Kalitas, Obnixilus, Noxious Gearhulk, went big, smashed down on him, and he just couldn't resolve a creature and keep it around, and I won the match. So I was feeling pretty good. I was like, all right, we're doing okay. And so then I go into round 4. So currently I am 2-1, going to round 4, and I face the black-green mirror. So this time the black-green mirror went a little bit better, and I was able to squeak out a win. This was a big version of the Black Green Mirror. They had Mind Rack Demon, and I was like, all right, so the second time in the mirror, because the energy version's not really the mirror. So, but this was 3 Black Green decks in a row, and I was like a little frustrated at this point. I was like, well, I guess I called the metagame correctly, but it's still frustrating to face the same exact deck 3 times, and especially when you face the big version, it's a little bit more of a draw-dependent matchup. And having no Gaunties was a huge, huge game. Gaunty, Lord of, I don't remember the name. Lord of Luxury is a very, very good card in the mirror, and it's also very good against smarter vehicles. The decks I wanted to beat. And it's also very good against control. It's just a very good card. So I won the mirror round 3. So I was going to the next round. I was 3-1, and I faced a Mardu Vehicles opponent. My Mardu Vehicles opponent kept a interesting game 1 hand. He mulled to 5 and then kept a sketchy hand, and I just like curved out and then beat him game 1. And then game 2, he mulled to 6 and kept a very land heavy but land heavy, vehicle heavy hands. So he had no creatures in the beginning of the game. I deployed some creatures. I actually went Winding Constrictor into Rishkar, then the ideal curve, and then I went another Winding Constrictor, and he followed with a Fumigate. So I was down on resources. I didn't have Delirium. But I had 5 lands, and I had my sideboard Ishkana. So I was trying to figure out how was the best way. I had Ishkana and I had Minor Demon in hand. I said, how is the best way for me to get Delirium? I didn't want to play Minor Demon and miss, because that's the one way you lose the matchup. And I didn't have removal for his vehicles. He had multiple vehicles with the Scrap Heap Scrounger. So what I did was I blocked with a Hissing Quagmire to go down to 4 lands, and then I played my Rhinorak Demon and got some more in the graveyard. And then I stabilized. I was able to block a Harvester a bunch of times, and I drew a Appetite for, and I drew an Appetite, and I drew a Natural State. So I was able to destroy 2 more vehicles, draw my 5th land, play Ishkana, and then I drew a Nissa Voices Zendikar, which oddly enough I was supposed to side out in the matchup because their flyers pressure Nissa's Voices Zendikar very well, and the 1/1 token 0/1 tokens don't do very much, and I'm not fighting the make my dudes bigger plan. So I ended up winning the game because of some fortunate draws, and went to 4 and was it 3-1? Yes, 3-1. No, 4-1, yeah. 4-1. So I was 4-1. I was feeling good. I sit down with my opponent round 6. And my opponent plays first turn Cinderglade. I was like, I haven't seen this all weekend. Okay, cool. Next turn Prairie Stream. I'm like, alright, this is interesting. Then goes get 6 energy. I'm like, okay. He played some spells that got 6 energy. I couldn't pressure him very well because, Black Green's very nutrition-y. It doesn't always pressure very fast. And he played a Marvel, and he spun a Marvel and got an Ulamog. And game 1, I have no game to beat an Ulamog. I just can't beat an Ulamog. I have to race it. And I didn't have the board equipped to do that. So I lost game 1. Went into game 2. I had a pretty decent hand. I sided in the Transgresses. I sided into the Slaughters. I took out most of the removal spells. And game 2, I got more of an idea what he was doing. He was a 4-color, non-black, Marvel control deck that played Nissa's Renewal and other things to buy time, such as Harness Lightning and the enchantment that gets -4/-0, and Marvel, and Fumigates in the after side, and he had card cast. So that game, he kept a hand with, he went to 6 and kept a hand with 2 Marvels and an Ulamog, and I was able to I stripped a Marvel out, and then I was able to pressure him fast enough, and he was not able to rip enough cards to get energy. So that was a very fortunate win. So we were 1-1, and then we went to the next game, and the next game, actually gained 30 life over the game. So I had triple Snake Hand, but he had double Fumigate and double Nissa's Renewal. Nissa's Renewal gains 7 life and puts 3 basics onto the battlefield, and then went hard casted Woolamong. So I fell down to 4-2. 4-2. Then, following that 4-2, sorry about that. Following that 4-2 loss, I sat down against an opponent, and I played against Saheeli. Saheeli, 4-color Saheeli, Marvel combination, throw everything together with Elder Deep Fiend, and the deck was insane. It's a very, very hard matchup for Black-Green. They're so attrition-y. They can just play a Barola Rosrosa and make a bunch of energy and win with flying, and then Elder Deep Fiend you to death, and that's what he did both game 1 or both game 2 and 3. He also had a Boral's Expertise game 2. It was not a very close match, and it shouldn't be a very close match, and that is something I went into the weekend expecting, that those types of matchups I was not going to win. So I actually fell down to 4-3. At this point I was very discouraged, because I was 4-1 to 4-3, and then I got my pairings for the next round, and I'm playing against Jimmy, a fellow teammate of mine. So I'm like, all right. And this Jimmy fell to 4-3 because he had kept multiple 2-landers and never drawn a third land. Not in 2 turns, not in 3 turns, but in 15 turns of the game. So I played against him. He was playing black-green control, basically mono black control. It's very, very cool list. I might go over it sometime soon. But he was, I don't know, a little discouraged, and I had fortunate draws, and I was able to beat him, and so I advanced to 5-3. So I had a win in for day 2, and this was not the first. There have been many GP where I've had a win in for day 2, and I missed half the time, and I've hit the other times. So I was like, all right, let's do this. I sit down against my opponent. My opponent is playing, and I see a turn 2 Siphoner, and I was like, all right, this game is great, because I already played against one Siphoner deck, and it was amazing. So I just crush him. Like, game 1, it wasn't close. Game 2, I played Nissa, got turn 3, and he just can't kill the Nissa. I tick, go to 8, minus ultimate, play Kalidas, remove 2 of his guys, make a bunch of zombies, attack him for a bunch. Like, it was very, very attrition-y, and there were a lot of resources. Because it got to a board stall, so I had to overpower him, but, I overpowered him, so. Now, I was able to go into day 2 at 6-3, which was pretty awesome. I was feeling really good. Now, if I'm not sure if I mentioned this if you are a viewer of my streams, Magic94, or if you saw me mention it anywhere else, I mentioned that my goal for the weekend was to prize, and so going 6-3 into day 2 was like, all right, well, if I go 5-1 or 6-0, I should be able to prize. And so I sat down the next day, and I got a good rest. I actually slept a good amount. And day 2, round 1, I sit against, and I play against Esper Control. And I'm like, oh no, this is the matchup that I'm not supposed to win. This is not going to go well. But my opponent misplayed his lands game 3, and was not able to cast Fumigate, and I ripped the Transgress off the top and was able to transgress him, and it swung the entire game, and I was able to we went to turns, and I won on the game on turn 4 of turns, which was very, very cool. So turn 4 of turns, got the game, got the match. I'm at 7-3. I play the next round, and I sit down against, and I don't usually name drop, but I sit down against Max McVitie, which, if you're familiar with Max McVitie, he's played on the Star City circuit. He's won a invitational with Mono White, and I was like, so he must be on vehicles. So I look at my starting hand, and it has some pushes, it has some grasps, and I was like, this is a good hand against vehicles. Well, his hand that he kept was very interesting, it was about to 3 even inspectors and then a Gideon to follow up, and I was not able to battle that hand, and he took down game 1. Game 2, I sided in my usual cards. I got some more. I got another Kalitas. I got some fatal pushes. I got the appetite and the natural state, and I won the previous Marty Vehicles deck that I'd gone against. So we play game 2. He keeps the hand. He's pretty slow hand, but he plays a Skyship on 5 and Sky Sovereign, and I'm like, all right, I have an appetite in my hand, so I appetite it. I entice him to activate it, and I appetite him. Then he plays a second Skyship. And if you're familiar with the Skyship versus Black Green, it is very difficult to beat. I had already played my Murder. I had no other. I would have to have drawn a Grasp and had a Mind Rack Demon out. So yeah, I fell to the second Sky Sovereign, and I fell down to 7 and 4. Next round, I sat down and I played the Black Green Mirror again, and the Black Green Mirror, and I was his deck was much better. It had some Gontis in the sideboard, and it had 2 Nissa in the main, so it was more attrition. It was more built to play against the Mirror, and he was able to pull it out in 3 games. So I fell down to 7 and 5. So I was like, all right, 3 more rounds. What can I do? All right. Sit down against my opponent. My opponent is playing Black Green again. Black Green, the big version, and I get him game 1. I had a fortunate draw, and then game 2 he actually wasn't the energy version, but he sided in Harvester. I had the perfect answer of the Murder for it, and I was able to sequence and win that in 2 games, I believe. 2 games, yes. It might have been 3. I don't actually remember correctly. So I was able to win that match, though, and advance to 8 and 5. 8 and 5. My next opponent was a Black-Green Energy, but he was on a very, very interesting build. And he had Blossoming Fence, which is not unusual, but he had some interesting cards. I forget exactly what they were that were very unconventional in that deck. And it was a little bit tough a match, but game 1 was very easy. I stuck a Gear Hulk and he wasn't able to answer it, and I killed him. And then game 2, I eked it out. We actually both flooded, but I had an 880 Gear Hulk on the field, so I was able to squeak that one out. It was actually very close because he had a Harvester and was gaining life back, and it was a little bit of a race. But we just both drew land, and my board was better before then. So I advanced to 9 and 5, and I was like, all right, one more win, and I can get my first pro point. So this is a very exciting thing for me. Still, a little disappointing because I was out of prize by that point. But I was like, all right, let's do this win and get a pro point. I sat down against my opponent. My opponent's also playing for his first pro point. And he's playing blue-red with the zombies and the prize amalgams and, the Elder Deep Fiends. Like, the deck that beats Black-Green. I'm like, no, not like this. Hands were on the face, not like this. Game 1, crushed. Just Deep Fiend, Sanctum, search another Deep Fiend, kill me. Okay. Game 2, he molds to 5. Molds to 6. Keeps a reasonable hand. I transgress him. He never draws a discard outlets soon enough. I was able to kill him with a Mind Rack Demon that actually did 16 damage to myself. I did 16 damage to myself that game and was able to... Actually, it was really close. I was at 4 and when I killed him. So that was the game. And we were tied 1-1. This game decided if I went 10 and 5. He molds to 5. I keep a decent hand. I play some threats. I had a good curve. I transgress him. I get rid of a Chandra. He kept the hand with no discard again. Very, and it just drew like, I got rid of a Chandra, and then he just went like land, and I was like, oh man, like, and he went land. He had like an answer to something, and the game was over. So I was very fortunate to pick up the loss. The one win I shouldn't have been able to pick up. So I actually finished the weekend at 10-5, and I really enjoyed the configuration that I did. If I were to change anything about the deck, I would include more Gontis. I'm not exactly sure on the exact number. I would include more Gontis, and I would actually play 2 Nissa main deck. I'm not exactly sure where I'd make the space. I would probably cut 1 Ruinous Path, since it was not that amazing for me this weekend in the main deck. I'd probably cut a 1 Ruinous Path and go up on the 2 to Slaughter in the sideboard and bring that Nissa Voice of Zendikar main deck. But Grimflayer was very, very happy. So I had a big debate before the weekend between playing Grimflayer and between playing Sylvan Advocate, and I decided on Grimflayer, and I was very, very pleased with the Grimflayer. There were a lot of times it just survived and was able to dig me to a 3rd land, or a 4th land, or a 5th land. Like, it dug me into lands when I needed them. It also dug me past lands when I needed them. It was just like that threat that needed to be answered. But your Winding Constrictor was also a good follow-up when it was answered. So it was very, very cool. There were some board states when it was not very good, especially in the mirror. It doesn't fight through very well in a board stall. But it was very good configuration. I liked it a lot. I was able to go to small against the big. I was going to go a little smaller and faster against the big black-green decks, and I was able to go bigger than the energy black-green decks. So it was very good, and I was very happy with my result. And I look forward to playing some other version of this sometime soon. Maybe doing a video series or something with it. There's a lot of black-green out there, and I'm a little... Like, I played against the mirror, 8? I played against the energy deck 3 times, and I played against the mirror 5 times. And I was 3-2 in the mirror, and I beat the energy version every time. So I was always playing against black-green. There were always snakes around. There were always fatal bushes. It was just a lot of black and green lands in the tournament. But it has very little control and not that many vehicle decks. And this is the story of a lot of people of GP Pittsburgh. It was black-green GP Pittsburgh, or I like to say, GB Pittsburgh. So thank you so much for viewing this, and I will see you guys next time. You can check out the deck list. The deck list will be below in the article. And so you can see that, and you can play that. You can also just see the deck list. The only thing that's cut off right now is the 7 swamps. There's 7 swamps. And so you can look. I mean, I would suggest playing this. This is a good deck. There are some changes that I would make, and if you want to view my stream at CMagic94 on Twitch, I will go over some of the changes with you, and we can run through some leagues maybe in the next week or two. So for the next tournament, I will be at SCG Baltimore, so I should have another tournament report for SCG Baltimore, as I'm trying to make this a regular thing. So thank you very much for viewing, guys, and hit a follow, and I will see you next time.